Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jess. I'm the events and program manager for Global Game Jam, and we are really excited to be doing this Indiecade partnered show and tell live stream, which is currently in its final sprint. We have 5 of the participating teams here, along with 4 panelists who will be watching the presentations and giving some feedback on their games. But first, to give a little bit of context as what this Climate Jam is, let me bring on Parker Mann with Indiecade to give us a little bit of background. Hi, Parker.
Hi, thank you, Jess. And
Thank
hi,
you.
everyone. Yeah, I'm Parker Mann, Director of Operations at Indiecade. For anyone who's just joining us today, Climate Jam is an annual game jam dedicated to games about climate solutions. This year, we've been running it as a month-long jam designed as a compressed production cycle broken into 1 to 2 week sprints. Our more specific theme this year is natural and unnatural disasters. Our jammers began on June 13th with the ideation sprint, followed by prototyping, then 2 weeks of production. They are now in the final stretch where they polish their projects and prepare for marketing and release. The final submissions are due next Tuesday, July 22nd, so stay tuned and you can check out all the final games then. I'd also like to mention that this is also acting as our third Thursday session for Indiecade Horizons. So welcome to all of the Horizons students watching this live or recorded. And thank you in particular to Global Game Jam for running this stream. And that's it from me.
Of course. Thank you so much, Parker. First, before we start to get into the presentations with the teams, I do want to bring in our panelists. So I'm going to bring them onto the stage. Welcome, Sam, MJ, and Dargan. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for coming onto the stream with us today. Do you guys want to give a little bit about yourself? Maybe start with Sam, who you are, and your background, how you're involved with Indiecade and this jam.
Sure. So I'm Sam Liberty. I am an applied game designer and consultant. Applied games is just my term for any game that deliberately has a real world impact that can be measured. I've been doing that since around 2012. I've worked with a lot of large NGOs like the World Bank, the Red Cross Climate Center, the World Wildlife Fund, and others on climate projects, both adaptation and education. And more recently, I've been working in the healthcare field with behavioral change. I also teach game design at Northeastern University. So my connection with Indiecade, other than being a selected entry once, is that I am close colleagues with Celia Pierce, who's one of the founders, and my colleague at Northeastern.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. MJ, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm MJ. I'm one of the co-organizers for the Climate Jam this year. I've been involved with the Climate Jam for a few years now, and as well as a number of other game jams like the Global Game Jam. I used to work professionally as a game developer, but I recently decided to pursue a PhD at the University of California, Santa Cruz, where I'm now a PhD candidate. I do research on games that are designed to help with different aspects of climate resilience, and particularly right now I'm focused on wildfire. And my team recently actually launched a game about wildfire resilience right before this jam started. So we're excited to have that available for folks on itch.io if you want to check it out. Like I said, I've been involved with Climate Jam for a while. I've also been involved with Indiecade for a number of years as a judge, a participant, and a demoer. So thanks for having me.
Great, yeah, and I'm Dargan Frierson. I'm a climate scientist at University of Washington, and work with a team called Earth Games that makes games about climate science, environmental science. We've been organizing the game jam, climate game jam with Indiecade ever since COVID started. That was sort of our kickoff to doing online jams that have turned into just this amazing community, that gets together and makes cool stuff on different topics each year. I think it's one of the most important things that we do, for sure. At the moment, the state of, representing the climate science side of things in the United States, things are not great. I'm getting a lot of colleagues losing their jobs now, their entire labs that have been open, doing public climate, public weather things for decades that are getting shut down, but the most important thing is that we all get together and do what we can to prevent harm from natural disasters and unnatural disasters, right? So it just really, especially now, warms my heart to see so many people participating and doing such great things here. So thank you all so much, and I'm really excited to see the final products here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I think let's just jump right into it. I do have the first team that is going to be presenting today. It is a team called Weathered Edge Studio, and they made a game called Brushfire. So I'm actually going to bring them onto the stage. Let's see. All right, we've got Blake, and we've got Miles, and we have Madhupra, but his device looks like he's not connected. So I'm not sure if he needs to reset or, but yeah. So hi, Miles. Thank you so much for joining us. And Blake.
Yep. Is Blake there?
Blake.
I don't have the thing to share.
It's okay, no worries. I'm not sure if Blake is live on the camera, but Blake, if you're at least there on voice, that would be great to just check in to see how you guys are doing.
You hear me now?
Yeah, great, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting everything set up.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Do you have a screen that you guys would like to share so we can start your presentation?
Yeah, that's what I am about to do. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. In the meantime, Miles, just to get a little bit about your team, how did you guys get connected? How are you guys a team already? If you want to give a little background about how you got involved with this game jam.
Well, this is actually my first game jam experience. I study 3D digital design at Rochester Institute of Technology. So this is the first time for me to apply my skills to a project like this, and it's been super exciting. And I was lucky enough that one of my team members, I knew them from RIT. They recognized me, and they invited me to the group. And I feel like I've learned so much here, and I'm really proud to have designed some of the characters and worked on a lot of the animations. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, happy to have you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to get everything pulled up right now.
It's okay. No worries. Madhupriya, do you want to introduce yourself? I don't know if your sound is working.
Maddie. Let me message her in Discord real quick.
That's okay.
I'll say your first experience with the game jam was a 5-week long one.
Yeah, that's pretty intense for a game jam for sure, compared to the classic 48-hour ones.
Yeah, I've heard about like the really short ones before, but I mean I'd be totally up for doing something like that. But yeah, it was a lot of stuff. I think that it wasn't as stressful as I thought. 'Cause I feel like I knew what I was doing more often than not. I felt like I was experienced enough, so that was definitely a help.
Yeah.
Is there a way you can kind of
intense.
move us to the end? I'm having an issue on my computer.
Okay, sure.
That I'm
yeah,
trying to
that's no
fix real quick.
No worries. I know that Siva is also here. So let me just check with Siva and make sure that they're available and ready to go live. So just give me one moment, but that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, our original Climate Game Jams, we hosted first at UW, and knowing that 48-hour setting, you can really see some bleary eyes there at the end, as people are pushing through final sprint. Yeah, we had a couple events that we hosted then at the Pacific Science Center in years following that. And those were some great experiences to be able to be there in the museum after it had closed, and kept the place open the whole night for us. Yeah, we also like the extended jam as a way to keep it low stress, but then also to make better products by the end, right? MJ really pioneered this green light jam format, right? That is really designed to better final product by the end.
Definitely.
Should I
I mean,
out now that we're going to a different group?
Yeah, sure. Let me bring
Sure.
Siva on, and Miles will see you at the end of this.
Okay.
The mailman will return.
Oh, there it is.
Hi, Siva.
All right.
There you
Hi.
go.
Should I just go and get right into it, or?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
All right, so we're Team One Grebo, and this is our game. So our team participated in the last show and tell. So this is mainly going to be a continuation of that first presentation, showing off what we've accomplished since then. But for people who don't know, I'm going to go over the basic stuff. So the basic idea is that the protagonist is a time jumper from a dystopian future, and their job is to jump to different timelines and harvest their resources. And this timeline that they've jumped to this time is tranquil, it's abandoned, it's beautiful, and they assume that this is a world where humans never existed. So narrative was at the forefront of what we wanted to create. This is a very narrative heavy game, and it's what we wanted to ideate about the most, since it's really easy to feel like nothing you do for the climate matters at an individual level, and how it's really hard to project into the future what minor percentage increases in heat will look like, and 10 years, 100 years, 10,000 years, 1,000 years, whatever. It's hard to know what that's going to actually look like, because that's so far beyond your lifetime. So we thought that tackling something in that area would be interesting. And ultimately, we decided that our story would be about someone who's an isolated cog in the machine and whose job is essentially to be complicit to environmental destruction. So as like a very brief summary of our narrative, you, the protagonist, the player, arrive in the peaceful timeline to hyper-industrialize and harvest resources from it. And while doing your maintenance job, you hear an unknown person from over your radio. All while you're continuing to do that job and help destroy the world, you develop a one-sided bond with the radio stranger. But the big twist is that the stranger is sending messages back home after the humans of this timeline caused a climate apocalypse and had to leave, and like Wall-E style, like I said right there. They're long dead, and you're just receiving their messages now at a very extreme delay because of how far away they were, how far away they got. So seeing the destruction at the end of the game, big choice. You get to decide to either return home to your dystopian timeline or use the energy you harvested to go back and try and stop the first apocalypse in this timeline, basically undoing all of your actions. Menus. We have some pretty cool looking menus. Shout out Caitlin, Kat, whatever. Next slide. More menus, because I don't know, she made a lot of these, so I think it's cool to show them off. Voice acting. So since the last update, we have had
initiating training. System online. Subject spotted.
So that's the system. That's the
incoming transmission. Source unknown.
And this is Rowan, who's that
Hello,
radio stranger I mentioned.
The name's Rowan. I don't know who's listening, or if anyone is even listening. We are nearly 300 strong.
We've also been experimenting
with voice. That's great.
We've also been experimenting a lot with music, and as you'll soon hear in the next video clip, we've got a ton of sound effects implemented. But here's a sample track. I wish I could let all of that play, but it is like a minute long, so I have to cut it off there. But as for our tutorial, we have a tutorial. The whole game's actually playable start to finish now, which is very cool.
Your onboarding sequence begins now.
I'm gonna like
operator.
skip through this because it's very long and we'd be here the whole rest of the time. But this is basically a video of the entire tutorial.
Spare energy cells found in your work zone must be deposited without delay. Every single one is accounted for. So structural degradation. You are expected to intervene.
This is like the last placeholder thing in the game. This will be gone soon.
In disrepair to alert the system. Persistence may be required. Initiating training.
All right, yep.
System online.
I love you, Google Slides, but come on. So we've had some more updates to our level design. As you can see here, I'm showing off more of the video.
You are now within the energy core.
This is one of my favorite spots in the game. This is the energy core.
To the area marked in blue through the wall-mounted.
And yeah, we've also been thinking a lot about accessibility, because after we've finished polishing everything up, that's like the #1 focus. So we've added a settings menu. You can toggle that crosshair on and off that you see in the center of the screen. And we've also added blue outlines to every single thing that you can interact with, because something that we noticed in playtesting was that sometimes people weren't really sure on where to go, and that's hopefully helping them out. We've also been experimenting with the visual style since last time. It's now pixelated, which is pretty cool, right? It's more in line with like not exactly PS2 or PSX games, but it's aiming to capture something in that realm. And I think it does give it a bit more visual identity than the just no filter, no nothing, just only slight post-processing that makes it look darker. So I'm happy with that. We've also got an actual ending now. It's in the game, like I mentioned. I'm not going to just give it away, unfortunately. You got to play to see it. But it's in the game, and you can play the game from start to finish, which I think is really, really cool. So what's next for us is bug fixing, polishing, playtesting, all that stuff. Because for as much as we've accomplished, there's still a lot of edges to smooth out. And as I mentioned, ways to make things better. We're currently looking at accessibility. And the main accessibility feature that we would love to get in the game is subtitles, since the story is such a big part of our game. And my subtitles are... I mean, I use subtitles for like everything, so. And yeah, that's all for my presentation on what we've done so far, but I wanted to like leave plenty of time for questions and etc. So.
That's very cool. It's amazing how polished it has gotten since the last time you showed us. It's clearly an impressive amount of work was done since the point.
Yeah, congratulations. You've achieved a lot and a lot of polish in a very short amount of time. So you should be really proud of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my team's great. They really locked in.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see how all that aesthetic sort of meshes together into this really impressive piece. You know, I love the story ideas that y'all had from before. So I'm super psyched to play it through and see how everything all ends up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there an outdoor environment in the game as well, or only the indoor environment?
You can see glimpses of an outdoor environment. So the idea was that since it's supposed to you are somebody who is complicit, and the game's supposed to reinforce that on you, the player. So you're supposed to gradually be like, oh, okay, I'm kind of forgetting that my actions are causing this environmental destruction. So you can see the outside world, and you can see it change between like the periods of time, but you only ever see it in glimpses, and you sort of have to go out of your way to see it. It's never really just like shoved in your face. So you might briefly see it and be like, oh, wow, that looks a lot more desertified than the last time, or, oh, wow, it's underwater now. But you can't walk around and explore the outside world. There's still that element of isolation where you're just this one person stuck in this one area on the inside looking out, and all you have for company is this person on the radio who you later find out died like several thousand years ago.
One question I had that we've asked teams throughout the process of this jam is, What do you hope people do differently after playing? What's sort of your call to action or your intended change on people's lives based on
definitely.
playing experience?
Definitely, that's a really good question, and I think this game has a weird call to action because it's not super direct, right? It's not, oh, you should stop eating meat, or oh, go and help out these organizations. It's more, find the will and like courage, I guess, inside of you to decide to do something differently. So we're thinking right now we're gonna have like a resources page or something at the end of the game, because the overall message is really getting the determination to go out there and make a difference and believe that your actions at an individual level can mean something, and sort of break out of that my actions don't do anything, they won't ever mean anything, there's these people flying in their private jets 19 times a week, what can I do in the face of that? So we just want you to get involved. We want you to go out there and do some research and look stuff up and see what you can do. And I think we're going to try and facilitate that at the end of the game, like I said, with that resources page.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of including resources at the end of the game, so people who are compelled to do something will have options available to follow through.
Hey, Dargan, I'm curious, since they are adding resources and maybe some messages based on the resources they pick, what messages would you want to see in a game like this?
Oh yeah, that's a good
That's a great question. I'd love to talk about that. I think that much of the really exciting work right now is being done at grassroots levels, and especially like on the climate justice front and environmental justice front. There's a lot of really, really cool people who are working on that, who might not be very far from you, and really need help getting their messages amplified. And there are definitely groups that organize coalitions of those smaller groups, right? That you can look for. Like in the United States, we have Climate Justice Alliance, for instance, that has several member organizations within Washington, for instance, but many other parts of the United States as well. And there are global groups on that front as well. So I'd encourage folks to really look locally first to find those groups to get in touch with.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think in terms of like persuasion and getting people to do things, having social proof is really cool. And if the resource that you show them at the end of this is, let's say you made the choice to reset the climate to the proper state, like that's one of the choices you can make in the game. And then you're told there's people near you right now that are making the same choice that you just made every day, and here they are, and join them. Here's hundreds of people, in walking distance of you. I think that could be really powerful and get people interested.
Yeah, that sounds really powerful. I'm just gonna because I didn't do this at the beginning, I just launched into it. I'd like to just quickly shout out my team, like where they're all from. We are 5 people strong, myself included. We've got Hannah, Jackson, Kat, and Tommy. Kat's been doing like the massive bulk of all of like the menus and some of the 3D models. A lot of what you see in the game, like visually, that's all her. So that's really great. Jackson's our like one and only sound person. That music snippet, all the sound effects, that's all him. He's done a really great job. Tommy's like our secondary 3D artist. He's been helping with some like icons and decals and other stuff like that, models. And Hannah, all of the narrative. She I laid down the groundwork. I have been having input on it, but she wrote 95% of the narrative, if not more. I feel like I've been really fortunate to have people who care about my idea and like wanted to see it done to completion. We're from all around the world. I think I don't actually know where they all are. I know Jackson's like in Massachusetts and I'm from California. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other fun fact, I guess. I mean, I think Grebo is the fun fact that I dropped at the very beginning of my slides, that I had no idea what to name our team, so I just took the name of my favorite dog, the nickname of my favorite dog, smashed it together with that half-baked idea, and here we are.
Perfect.
One Grebo.
Awesome. Well, Siva, thank you so much for taking the time to present your game. We really appreciate it. We're going to turn it over to Erica. I'm going to bring Erica to the stage. All right. Hi, Erica. If you want to start by just giving us a little bit about yourself or your team, where you're from, any fun facts before you get into your game presentation.
Sure. Good morning from where I'm at in California. Seems like a lot of California people here. Thanks for coming to this and Indiecade and Global Game Jam. This is my first game jam ever, and it's been fun. Fun fact, I am a journalist. Actually went to Northeastern and interested in news games and kind of games as opportunity to get people engaged in topics. So this has been a great way to learn more about how to make games and all your resources. I'll be talking about my game Positively Hot. So what's up here is the content for my final project page that I've been working on, so you can get a sense of the game. Happy to take any feedback on this in terms of like first impressions and what people get when they land on the page, but I'll also show the gameplay a bit more first. So the premise is you run a dog walking business. It's a short browser-based game. You navigate with arrow keys. You guide your dogs to where the surface isn't too hot, and different terrain is hotter or cooler at different times of the day. And you can also advocate for changes to make the neighborhoods cooler and better for your dogs and yourself. The topic for Climate Jam is extreme heat, especially urban heat, and how we need to deal with this personally and in community in various ways. The ways that we urban plan can make the environment hotter, which is bad for everyone, but there are strategies, no one size fits all, but various nuanced strategies that can help mitigate this harm. And so hopefully my call to action is, how might you learn about the risks in your city? Does your city get really hot in the summer? Is it getting worse? How might you get involved in learning more about the ways your city is trying to deal with this, or maybe advocating for ways that they aren't right now? All right, so I was happy to get some nice feedback on my prior sprints, especially on the approachable gameplay and overall aesthetic. I have a simple gameplay loop here. What I heard was that I could benefit from more variety. I only had one map, for example, and I should incorporate the jam themes more explicitly. That was great because I wanted to do that anyway, so glad to know that players also wanted that. I wanted to keep the gameplay simple and just add just enough narrative to keep you interested, but hopefully not make it too complex. So I'm adding an upgrade mechanic. This is not in the Sprint 3 build that's published. I know you're not supposed to add big things during the last sprint, but I felt it was really needed to fulfill the jam goals. So just with a few point and click menus, you can upgrade your dogs with booties that protect their paws, and start attending community meetings to advocate for cooling upgrades. And kind of the implication here is, like, we do need to do personal stuff in our own life to just deal with these harms. So like buying the booties is not a bad choice. Like, it does help you. And so after you advocate a few times, this is all supposed to be a few minutes, your dogs will stay happier because there's now a park instead of so much concrete. There's lighter pavement in some areas. And this will increase your scores to become in your quest to become the coolest dog walker. So that's it for my presentation. Happy to take any feedback and questions, especially on this mechanic and the initial just impressions, or anything else. Thanks.
I love this, Erica. This is just a terrific idea. What an amazing game. I gotta say, I'm a climate scientist, right? But I've never, this issue of like dogs hurting their paws while walking I never thought of that. This seems like a major problem, which is a way to get people to think about climate change in different ways, right? I think you spreading the message is going to make a lot more happy pets.
I agree. I was in the veterinary field for a very long time, and this was always something that felt I was also a veterinary field in New York City, which is very classically hot, and it's just, it's not called a concrete jungle for no reason. We would routinely tell people to not walk their dogs, especially in the summer, in the middle of the day, and I would still see so many animals that just look so uncomfortable that are walking around at like peak heat at 2 p.m. So I really feel like a game like this speaks deeply to my soul. Like it resonates with me so much, and I don't think people realize it, that how important it is. And I love how you can tie that into how important climate change is. And it's, if you can get to anybody, it's through their hearts because of their animals.
Yeah, I think one of the really great things about this concept is how it makes the issues of climate change so like personally resonant, like makes it something that people can actually see how it impacts them directly now, as opposed to a lot of times when we talk about climate issues, we're thinking about things that are going to happen in the future, but this is a thing that you can see now. And so I think that's really powerful. I also think you have a really clear call to action, which is to get people to take this seriously and to be more careful when they're walking their pets. And my one question for you, though, is so I love that you have the like joining community meetings as part of your gameplay. I'm curious if do you attend those kinds of community meetings, and do you see that as a potential way that you could spread the word about your game and get people to play it in those kind of public settings?
No, I haven't, but that's a great idea. Yeah, I've actually never had a dog. I've never walked a dog, but I talked to a lot of people who experience this issue or have dogs. And even recently, a friend, I was at an outdoor festival, and they're like, "Oh, can you touch the ground and like tell me, does it feel hot? Like I'm thinking about bringing my dog." And I was like, "Wow, I never thought about that before." So yeah. Thanks for all that feedback. And MJ, I should definitely go to meetings around here, because cities in California are dealing with this and making plans and trying to figure out how we can address this. And I did a lot of research, and the IGDA like solutions doc was helpful here in terms of, can't get into it in the game, but considerations like you can't just plant any trees, but like consider the local biodiversity and like how these trees will be upkept. So yeah, there are all sorts of nuances there that are deeper than just like, we need more trees.
A lot of this has been said already, but I think the approach here is genius. And as a persuasive game, it really can't miss, because everybody, like nobody wants to hurt a dog, right? Like if it's a human character, even, you're like, well, they can make their own choices, right? They can take care of themselves. But like a dog literally cannot take care of themselves. We have to make choices to take care of them. And then the kind of adaptations that you need to make the city more livable to a dog also make it more livable to a human being. So you're getting that follow-on effect. So I think this is a great advocacy game, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of people. And I love that it's about adaptation, not prevention or making people feel guilty about their own actions. It's more about like, hey, here's this problem that's happening right now that you can actually take concrete steps to fix. So I think you're doing a lot of things right.
Concrete steps.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're making the same.
New name for the game, Concrete Steps.
I love it.
Could be a lot more.
Although I really like Positively Hot, but you can't go wrong with it. Awesome. Erica, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, like I said, this game really resonated with me. So I hope you can continue to develop it further. And I would love to see people see more this side of what it's like to have a dog. If you don't want to go on the ground on your bare feet because it's too hot, the dog certainly doesn't want to either. So I really love this concept. Thank you so much.
Thanks
all right.
Yeah, great job.
I'm going to bring Belle to the stage. All right. Hi, Belle.
Hi.
Hi. Do you
So,
want to give a little bit about yourself and your team, where you're from, and any fun facts before you get into your presentation?
yeah, sure. So I am I'm going into my 4th year of my computer science degree. So programming is my background, but I've recently started developing serious games. I think I started in January, so it hasn't been super long, but it's been awesome. And I think that's sort of the direction I want to try to push my career towards. Um, I think I have a slide about the team, so I'm just going to pull that up to talk about them. So we were a team that formed during the first week of the jam, and the team is 11 people. So I know some of them are from Canada, the US, and Ireland. I might be missing some countries, but these are the countries that the majority of the team are from. And this is the breakdown of our team structure. So I would say it's, well, I'm really lucky to have such a talented team. And I think a lot of the roles that we needed to be covered were able to be covered. And our game is specifically about the country of Kiribati, which is a Pacific island that's very low-lying. So it's a lot of the island is maybe around 2 meters above sea level, so super low. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to work with members of that community to design this game and to make sure we got our facts correct. So that's what this special thanks is for. We're working with a climate activist from Kiribati on our game. And I think that's it for now. I'm sure I'll cover everything else as I go through the slides. So this is the title of our game, so Against the Tide, and it's all about climate resilience in Kiribati, and it's a hidden object game. And our game specifically explores the real-world impacts of rising sea levels on low-lying island nations. So we're specifically focusing on Kiribati, but there's also a lot of other countries that are in similar situations. And changes to the climate have threatened homes, livelihoods, and cultural heritage. I think it was a common sentiment in the media to talk about displacement, especially in the last decade. And we were originally going to focus more on the topic of displacement, but we decided that it might be more positive and bring better change if we actually talk about climate resilience in general. So obviously migrating to other countries is a possible solution to as a part of climate resilience, but it's not the only solution and not the only one we should focus on. So it's specifically a hidden object game, and the game invites players to learn more about how Kiribati is being impacted and how the community is coming together to build climate resilience. And here we have 2 of the scenes that our artists have drawn, and I think they're really nice and they really showcase the natural beauty of Kiribati. And I really am so happy when I see this artwork. They worked super hard on it. So I think this blurb up here is the same as the previous slide, but the initial inspiration from the game came from an article I read in a National Geographic magazine. You can see the first page of the article here, and it was all about how the spirit of the islanders in the country was impacted by the rising tides, either impacted as in they are worried about their future, or in some cases, they are also super tied to their country, so obviously they don't want to leave. So there's a lot of mixed emotions when it comes to discussing topics like this. So I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to learn more about it. Specifically for a hidden object game, the mechanics are super simple. The point of the game is to find the objects at the bottom of the screen, And for our game, we decided for now we're using only the mouse, which will hopefully make it easier for people to learn how to play the game. We wanted the game to be accessible to people who don't play games often as well. And you can see the main mechanics here. And then I'm not going to read all of these, but I thought a lot about what sort of genre I wanted to try, and these are some of my reasons why I chose a hidden object game. A lot of it is just about mechanics matching the type of storytelling that I want to do, as well as this being, like I said, an accessible game genre that people can play at their own pace. And it's also simple to program, which is great for me. But yeah, we already went over the team structure. The game was created using Unity and Fmod. And we have like the final build, the link is here if anyone's interested in checking it out. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of keep all my pages up for my previous iterations. So if you go on my itch page, you can see the progression. So we actually started off in a completely different narrative direction, focusing solely on like forced displacement. But then we decided to pivot to a more climate resilience approach, more positive. And this is the progression of the levels. So first, so there's 5 hidden object levels, and then at the end, there's going to be 3 or more different organizations that would directly support climate resilience efforts in Kiribati, either through donating or volunteering your time, or even just sharing their messages. So we want to make those easily accessible to people who play our game. And we'll link to those organizations and explain what they do. And you can see the progression of the levels here. So first, there's a brief introduction, sort of just introducing like where Kiribati is, how many people are in the population, what parts are maybe most affected by the climate. And then there's 3 different ways that the climate's affecting Kiribati. So rising sea levels, saltwater intrusion, impacted livelihoods. Lastly, there's a page that summarizes some of the resilience efforts that are happening in Kiribati. And these scenes were all put together with the help of our climate advocate in Kiribati. So she worked with us to tell us her experience, and she made a list for us about these different resilience efforts. So we're really lucky to have been able to work with her. And there's just a super, well, it's like a minute-long gameplay clip. Hopefully people are able to hear the sound, although I think it's loading. I'm not sure if decreasing the quality will help. Okay, there we go. So apologies if the quality is not that great, but you can see that this is the introduction level. We have a hint system where if you hover over the object, it'll give you a description of how to find the object. And then when you click on the object, there's a little pop-up. We tried to make the information related to the objects, and the pop-up is also going to be accompanied by dialogue, which is going to be voice acted by the climate advocate in Kiribati. We're just in the process of getting that sent over and integrated into the game. So yeah, this is an example of one of the other levels. The art is going to be finished soon before the game jam is over. But I just have three scenes shown in this gameplay clip. I tried to make it as short as possible while also showing the progression. And then this is the last scene about different resilience methods. Okay. Sorry about that. I accidentally clicked right before it was over, but I think everyone has the idea of what the demo is about. For feedback specifically, we're interested in discussing ways to make the gameplay more interesting for players. These images here, I'm not sure if they're legible, but they're comments that we got in our production sprint. So the first image is specifically about compelling feedback for the player upon finding an object. So the comment says that getting a text wall isn't always fun, which I totally agree with, which is why we're trying to implement some sort of dialogue as well that can play in the background for players who don't want to read the text. But we're also interested in maybe some other ways that the game could be more fun. The comment also mentions having more animations or sound effects that play once you find an object. For example, if you find something related to a well, maybe the well overflows after you find the object, which I agree would be a really great way to make it more fun, but might not be doable in the amount of time we have. And then also we're looking for ideas for hint systems for visual learners. Someone mentioned maybe an additional hint system could be useful where the game outlines a smaller area that the object could be in. So I think that's an interesting thing to think about. And then also I want to talk about accessibility. So if there's any quick changes that could make the game more accessible, we're trying to do that by having the dialogue pop-ups show for players who want to play without sound or prefer to read for any reason. But we're interested in hearing how a very visual game like this could possibly be accessible to more audiences. But I think that's the end of our presentation.
Thank you so much, Belle. Panelists, do you have any questions?
I absolutely love this. We play hidden object games a lot with my kids, especially, and yeah, I feel like this is going to be just a terrific way to learn. I am most curious about knowing about how you got connected with the person there in Kiribati and how their feedback helped shape the game.
Yeah, so when I was doing my research, initially, I stumbled upon something called the climate change song. And when I was looking up the history of the song, I read one article about the creator not really getting much credit. So I initially was thinking, maybe we could put this game in the song in the game. So I was like, we definitely need to reach out to this one person. We ended up switching directions, so the song didn't end up in the game. But once that started, I was like, oh, well, let me see who else I can reach out to. Initially, I was thinking maybe it might just be researchers from like Western countries that would be interested in talking to me. But I went on LinkedIn and Facebook as well, and there's a lot of people who were really genuinely interested in finding out about the project. So it was really just the power of social media. For CN specifically, we connected on LinkedIn, and it was one of our other group members who reached out, thankfully, because I was quite busy with managing the project. But we set up an interview time, and the time difference is quite a lot, but luckily it was manageable. And we screen shared the game, we explained it, and then we also just asked her some basic research questions. And she seemed really interested. And then afterwards, she herself mentioned, like, oh yeah, if you guys want, I can give you a list of CN ideas, like I can give you a list of resilience methods. Here are organizations that I'm personally involved in. Here are organizations that I think could be helpful to show off to other people who play the game. So yeah, we were really lucky to work with someone who was so willing to help us out with this sort of project, even though video games are not a common career in that country at all. But yeah, just the power of social media, really.
That's awesome.
Sounds like you should add her to the team on the jam officially. It's so great that you made that connection. It's so critical to have people that are actually local and on the ground when you're making a game about a real life context. So I think, going to make your game a lot more successful, both in terms of its quality and whether it'll actually get some uptick and people will play it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think it's great that you went the hidden object game route. It's a great genre for being approachable for all ages. Young kids can play hidden object games and older adults enjoy them as well. Since you were interested in accessibility, I just wanted to suggest your art style is adorable for this game, but one thing that helps with accessibility is if you make like a high contrast option to play in where you can like increase the contrast in the color palette for people with vision impairment. There are also, I don't know what engine you built it. You said you built it with Unity. There are screen reader plugins you can use in Unity. I haven't used them before, but if you wanted to have the ability to do it allow someone who is completely blind to be able to play it with a screen reader, those tools exist for people like you to use. But I think it's great that you're looking for options for accessibility, because I think that's a really important thing with games in the climate resilience space, is to make them accessible to everyone.
Yeah, those are some great ideas, and it sounds like they would be quite simple to implement, so I'll definitely look into that. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's quite all right. I have some thoughts on the feedback question you have as well. So I can agree with your playtester who said that the feedback wasn't as fun as they needed it to be. I think sound is going to do a lot for you here. If finding the object, if there's a good success sound, even if you only have one success sound, if it's good, right, it'll feel good to get that. And then that text that appears, I would actually move it to click to reveal, so that they're not kind of bombarded with it. It's more of a reward that they have to unlock. Like if you've ever been to a museum and you see those things that are flapped down and it's like, what's the biggest bird in North America, right? And it's like, do you really care? Maybe not, but like you want to lift it just to see the answer, to see if you were right or whatever. And like I think that would be more fun and rewarding. And if they want to skip it, they can skip it. But if it's presented as like a fun reveal as opposed to having educational information thrust upon them, they'll be more receptive to it too.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. And again, that is something that I could implement super quickly. So I'll see if I can do that. I really like that idea.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like what's the simplest thing that you could do to make it more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good idea to have a better hint system too. I'll pipe up a little bit on that since no one else was jumping on it. Highlighting an area makes sense since it's an area-based game, or like having an arrow just kind of like point towards the general direction of it. I think some people resent hint systems, so they need to be able to turn that off. Or maybe it only triggers if they're idle for a long time or something like that. Make sure it's optional and they control it. But yeah, just kind of pushing them in the right direction, I think, is a good idea.
Yeah, I was thinking that something that could be cool is if we change the color of the cursor depending on how hot or cold they are. Like change the color based on the distance to the object. That could be interesting, but then we would also have to make sure that that's accessible as well. So I'll definitely try to see if there's some sort of hint system we can quickly implement. But we definitely don't want this to be any sort of like pay to win game. We want people to be able to use as many hints as they need, as well as use them whenever they want, instead of forcing people to use them or not use them. So
yeah.
Yeah, I just love this concept, though. I think y'all did just an amazing job at highlighting this beautiful place, right? And the way that people are really adapting to climate change. So congratulations for that.
Thank you. It's been great to get the feedback from all the mentors.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Belle. We really appreciate you taking the time to show us your game. I am going to now bring Tristan onto the stage. Hello, Tristan.
Hello. How is everybody?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. All right.
Awesome. I just want to, a little housekeeping. MJ did have to drop off for another engagement, but we still, of course, have me and Sam and Dargan here to give you some feedback. But Tristan, if you want to start with who you are and your team, where you're from, and any fun facts about the game, and then you can start the presentation.
Yeah, cool. So I'm Tristan. I'm currently located in the Bay, and so is the team. We are all like UC Santa Cruz students, some grad and some undergrad. And a fun fact about this game is this was originally a prototype that MJ, one of the panelists, had. So we kind of elaborated a bit on it. But yeah, nice to meet everybody. Should I dive into the presentation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So this is by UCSC Wildfire Up. Today I'll be representing the team and we'll be talking about our game called Chaos Cruisers. So before I get into the gameplay and what the game is about, I would like to explain a bit about background. So our goal is we aim to create a multiplayer game that helps people learn about wildfire evacuation. And so how we implemented this was using Unity and Air Console to make a 3D game. But why specifically a video game and like why a 3D Unity game? So research shows that people see and practice what to do in a crisis beforehand. They're more likely to stay calm and make better decisions in an actual emergency. So people playing this game can practice thinking critically and also gain insight into the kinds of situations that might unfold during a real evacuation. It's always like when you practice something, you're able to think a little bit better before something actually real happens. So for our game idea, this will be up to 4 players can play at a time. Players will each drive a car and must find their way to the evacuation point while avoiding obstacles. For example, we have fallen trees or street poles through the city, and they also had to avoid like unexpected challenges that might arise. Today, I'll be showing a gameplay video that me and a team member had. We play tested yesterday. So a quick note about this is that people will be using their mobile phones to play as the controllers. So it's not using keyboard at all. Great. Hope you enjoyed the video. Before I lead to the last slide, I would like to note for our upcoming progress that we're going to make is to do bug fixing, implement some of the UI screens. As you saw, there was a pause menu, and we're going to try to have a lobby, so then players are able to easily identify which cars are themselves, and also add some more sound effects. But Thank you for listening. Any questions or feedback is welcome. Thank you.
I'm impressed that you got online multiplayer working. That's uncommon in a game jam game.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a little confused by the gameplay though. Is it like a pick up and deliver, or is it a race, or like what is the object of it?
So one of the main inspirations that we got from this was kind of like Mario Kart, where since we have multiplayer, we kind of want it to be people race to the finish line. We were kind of thinking of like a leadership board originally, but I think because of the main point is we want people to kind of think critically when it comes to unexpected obstacles, such as like I said earlier, fallen tree, or maybe, for example, signal goes bad and you don't have the navigation to get to your evacuation point, things like that. So I guess the main point is just to learn how to navigate through that to reach to the end. And a note was that we have a timer up top, and that's just kind of helps to give it a bit of a challenge to motivate you to get to the end.
Yeah, I could definitely see you putting in more obstacles, like I'm thinking of all of a sudden like you're caught in the smoke and it's impossible for you to be able to see out of your windshield and trying to navigate that way, or if it's something sound based, just something that like my feedback I think would be to speed it up a little bit in terms of the actual racing of the car, so it does feel more of a time-based time-based challenge. But I think the concept's really interesting, especially since you're doing an online multiplayer. Again, yeah, that's something really creative, and it definitely an extra layer of a challenge that you put into for a game jam.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, super cool concept. And it's scary too to imagine these situations, you know. Yeah, like what would you do if your normal route is blocked off by a fallen power line or something, right? Like in the game. Yeah. I wonder if it might be useful to have folks play around without the fires first, maybe, you know, to get used to what the map's like, you know, before. And you could kind of make that more fun too, right? You could make it more just a straight race or something, you know. And then, you know, have people even more respond to what it's like when there's this big difference, right, of the fallen, you know, blocked ways or the traffic lights not working or whatever. Yeah. Super
Yeah, I
cool.
could even see like a progressive build of starting with much smaller maps, so you do think that you have it almost memorized, and then working up, making them bigger and bigger, but then layering on those challenges of, you know, of the fallen trees, fallen lampposts, or just like there's a blockage of cars and you have to navigate a different path because you can't get around and you don't know if those cars are going to be moving or something. It would almost be multiple levels, and you can choose the level of difficulty that you want based on how much you've played the game, or if you really want to challenge your friends to something that's a bit more harder to navigate.
Yeah, there is like this visceral sense of like fear and discomfort when the game loads and you see like there's fire. It definitely makes you think like, well, what if I had to drive in this? And the smoke animation I think is really good for that. So I think it does a good job of that. I think I want to kind of echo what Jess was saying about kind of like the progression of it. And because if you're not used to, if the idea is like, okay, you need to plan around this stuff, and you're not used to the original version of it, then the fire is the norm in the game. So I think like maybe starting with a simple level that is more like maybe the fire's in the distance and it doesn't affect you yet. And then it gets worse and worse as you go. Like, I know that's kind of weird for like an online multiplayer game where you're just challenging a friend, but maybe there could be some sort of like experience system or something where as you play it, you unlock more and more scenarios. This is like obviously for the future, not for the game jam. but like unlocking more and more scenarios of different maps and things like that. So like I challenge a friend, and to get to my level, they need to play a couple maps to like come up to me. It could be a good thing.
I was wondering, is the multiplayer cooperative at all? Are there any cooperative elements? Because you might imagine kind of like helping others in that emergency situation too. You know.
Oh, that's a good point. We haven't talked too much about cooperative, but the thing is, I guess one thing is that you can see like other players driving past you, but that's probably the only aspect right now. But we'll, as a group, discuss for future implementation.
Yeah, I think like adding a little bit more of a narrative hook to it as well, so you know exactly who you are and what you're doing and why, it might be effective. It gives more like raison d'etre to the race, right? And like to Dargan's point about the co-op mode, like it becomes easier to make a co-op mode if there's a narrative. Like I need to get the kids to the YMCA because that's where the shelter is. You know, player 2 is trying to bring some supplies to somebody else, right? And you both need to do it within a certain time frame. Like it's not a race anymore, except as a race against time, but it's a little more more relatable.
Cool. Well, thank you all for your feedback. It's very interesting, and I'll discuss with my team about how we could alter our game. But thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Tristan. We really appreciate you sharing this. It's I have friends who've been through the like wildfires that were out in Tahoe, so I think it definitely resonates. It would resonate with them for sure. They were talking a lot about their evacuation plans, but yeah, well done.
I wanted to shout out too that y'all have made a series of these wildfire games that I got to play some of those earlier ones. Those are released now, and really highly recommend those as ways to think about different methods of wildfire resilience and preparation. So thank y'all for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tristan. Well, I am going to bring on the final team that we have. We have the team Brushfire by Weathered Edge Studio. So I'm going to be bringing on, there's 4 of them. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So if you guys want to
Well.
introduce yourselves and anybody else, discuss anybody else who is not with the live stream today, and where your team is from, and any fun facts about the team, that would be great.
Well, I think I can start. I'm Madhupriya from, I'm currently studying game design at USC Games. And I'm like a master's student in IMGD. I'm super excited for like showcasing our Brushfire because like we've put a lot of effort into it and a lot of research to it, and the entire team was like amazing. The collaboration went like really good. We had like few things here and there that we're still fixing, so we really hope that you know, kind of like our game. Blake, do you
Hi.
wanna?
Oh, yep. Yeah, I didn't know who's next. Hi, I'm Blake Swing. I'm the sole programmer. We had one of our programmers, Caitlin. She had to back out for mental health issues. We're still actually working on the game. We went on kind of the focus of a lot of people like to take the easy route out, make simple games, and I'm not a big fan of that kind of situation. So having years of development experience kind of pushed the team to think outside the box, and we kind of hope that we gave a little bit of extra. So this is more of a functional test demo, and we're going to continue working on it after the Indiecade experience.
Yeah, and I was on here a little bit earlier. I am Miles Mailman, and I am a 3D digital designer. For those who were not here earlier, I'm studying at RAT, and this is my first game design experience, and it's been super exciting, and I'm super proud to be a member of Weathered Edge, even when we are powering through with only one programmer, and I'm excited to, even if we don't meet all of our goals for now, I'm excited to finish this game outside of the internship.
Awesome.
Sophia?
Yeah.
Sorry. Guys, some people on the audio team and working to make sure the audio lines up with the climate goals, being representative of industry versus nature. It's fun to work on the team.
Perfect. Well, I know you guys have a few screens that you want to share. Who is going to be sharing first so I can get their screen up?
I will.
Great.
Screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Is my screen visible? Oh, yes, it is. Okay, okay. Perfect. So yes, we have our game Brushfire. You can check it out on it, obviously. And we're called Weathered Ed Studio. We named ourselves. Meet our protagonists. They're called Rainy, and Rainy is basically a guardian sent to protect this forest from unnatural wildfires that keep happening in Canadian boreal forest, and like it just increased destruction. And previously it used to be like natural, but like because of unnatural fires, there's a lot of like people. The protagonist is not understanding why it's happening, and there's like this enemy who's a very smooth talking, but a really like it kind of originated from humans' greed. So Rainy goes to the forest in hopes of reducing the amount of fire. Mainly, the gameplay includes exploring the stylized forest where they uncover burned areas and bringing back like life into the forest, and then switching between combat and painting modes in order to repair the damage caused. And there are like the entire game is like 20 minutes sort of. It's a pretty short game, but it can also depend very vastly according to player experience. Yeah, concept art. I think Miles is gonna
Yeah. So this is some of our concept art for some of our characters. Lumpy is one of the like enemy like enemies for our main antagonist, which is who was designed by G. And then in the middle we have Smokestack, and I am the artist who made Smokestack. He was a very popular character at first conception. He is our main villain, and he represents human industry greed and the consumption of the environment. We kind of thought he would be a little bit of a evil, funny kind of character. He was part of his design was made to be really efficiently usable in a game setting. So, like for example, he doesn't have legs or arms, and his bottom jaw is separated from his main head. So that was designed in a way to make that easy for us. And then finally, we have Helios over there. It's called Tired Hero. That's the kind of beta design we had for them, which eventually developed into something more substantial that we have right now. Yeah.
And we also had like some cutscenes in a comic strip sort of art style for like Rainy's interaction with Helios, who's basically their mentor. And we move on to level design. So level design was mainly done using like post-processing material to give this painting effect. And this entire game has like this really water oil painty in order to enhance the gameplay, honestly. And the entire forest map was inspired by the Canadian boreal forest, as you can like compare the both of the images right here. Our research stated that over the period of time, like the recent study of 2023, there were like warmer temperatures and decreased snow. So the white areas are the part that has the snow, and the green areas is all, either blackened out or green, because the snow in this forest has reduced vastly. Um, 2023 was Canada's worst fire season on record, with over 15 million hectares burning, which was double of 1989. So here we are doing a game on this concept. This is some of the level design that I had created in order to get that effect. As you can see, it is very in a painterly manner. This is the burned part of the forest that is done by smokestack, our ultimate enemy. And we move on to the visual UI. Most of the UI was created by Hugh, our UI designer, and it was meant to like be within the theme of brush fire. This is what it looks like within the level. And there are modes, like there is like a water mode, wood mode, and a stone mode that is used in order to paint either bridges or extinguish fire. And for, yeah, music.
Yeah, so for sound, we tried to keep it very intentional in terms of sound design and music. For sound design, we used sounds from nature versus industrial plants to create all the sound effects for the characters. So for Rainy, our nature god, all the sounds are like very organic, trees, like brush footsteps, all that kind of stuff. For Smokestack and for Lumpy, Smokestack's little minion, we used power plant sound effects and like very industrial trains, locomotives, and mixed that all to create like sounds of villain laughter. And it was a really, really cool process that we hope kind of helps characterize these villains. In terms of music, we did a very similar thing. The music in general is very thematic. So the main character, Rainy, has a very nature theme versus Smokestack, which has a very industrial, like human-sounding piano, almost like ragtime sound, just to kind of evoke the Industrial Revolution. And you hear these themes kind of battling back and forth as you progress through gameplay. So that can look like as the fires increase, maybe there's more strings added into the mix to kind of juxtapose against like the very natural woodwind sound of Rainy. And we try to make this very intentional, especially when it comes to the boss fight. And as you're exploring the world, it'll give you a location on where all these incidents are going to happen. So if you approach fires, you'll hear the strings come in, know where they are, and we should have panning going on with that as well. Yeah, the themes should come through and hopefully be a through line throughout the entire game. So as you're playing it, you can hear the story as well as see it.
Perfect. So here's our team. It was a team of like 12 people almost. Our programmers, it was mainly Blake. There are our genius artists, G Quinn, Miles, and Rachel. Audio, Sophia and Christian. Narrative, Peter and Chris. 2D art by Hugh Gong-Hugh. And level design by myself and Leo. And that makes up our Withered Edge studio. I think I'm gonna like give the mic to Blake, who's gonna show the gameplay and explain it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm Blake. This is gonna be our game. It was made in Unreal or Unreal Engine 5.6. it pretty much it's a 3D game. We used a lot of either assets made by our artist or ones that I bought professionally. Most of all the code's handwritten. We didn't use any code that would have been by somebody else. The overall map was built by Meduse, or Maddie, as she said, and one of our other level designers. So I went in there following that, and that's when I was able to start off. I started by programming a lot of the framework between C++, and from there I worked down into the different features using blueprints, which, I mean, that's a common workflow, as most people that work in Unreal know. So from there, that's when we moved on to all the fun stuff. And
Do you have a screen that you're able to share?
Yep,
Just so I can bring it into that.
Yep, I'm about to pull it up.
Awesome.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm closing all my personal stuff. Sorry.
No worries. Just so I can make sure that we're including that while you're.
Yeah, no, I'm just making sure that I have everything personal closed that I need on here. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How do I do this? Present. Share screen. Share screen. Okay. How do I do this? Application window. Unreal. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to go over, kind of show off her level design and kind of the whole forte of what we did, what's different than most games that you've seen in terms of gameplay. We tried to do something that's not really, that I haven't really seen before. Sorry, I threw the character in the wrong direction earlier, so I'm not sure where it's at. Give me 2 seconds while I'm doing this.
Actually, while you're showing this, Sam and Dargan, do you have any questions for the team? Because I think this is perfect for us to watch while you are demoing the.
Actually, this gives me time to.
Yeah.
Can you guys see it better if I go ultra wide like this?
Are you playing the game right now, or are you just using the Unreal console to move around the level?
This is just the editor. Moving the player start back where it was. I was debugging a big issue that popped up earlier.
Is there a playable demo of it?
I'm about to pull it up, and we haven't released it public. I'm gonna release it later today.
Good.
We had it break earlier, but I'm gonna pull it up and build the package right after this presentation.
The 3D environment really is just gorgeous, though. Were y'all inspired by particular places in northern Canada? I mean, so many of those.
I mean, they did a lot of research.
Forest, wasn't there?
Yeah, the narrative designers told me that it's like supposed to be similar to boreal forest. So we use like pine trees and try to like sort of populate them. Of course, in order to keep it optimized, there are not as many pine trees, but like we tried to get those river curves and pine trees and like similar looking map within the 3D art.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
I think there was a lot of research that went in terms of making sure that the wildlife matched the specific environment. I think at first when we were theorizing like these levels, it was just like, oh, Canadian wildlife. But then as we got more specific, it was like making sure that we have the right breed of woodpecker and like the right type of tree, and using this to become more and more specific and make sure that these the climate matches the situation that we're in.
Yep. Okay, so here's Rainy. This is our fancy post process. We wanted it to look, painted, no hard lines. We wanted the world to feel a little different than most games that you've played. As you can tell, he kind of floats around, not your typical movement that you see. He actually has a palette surfboard that I don't have implemented right now. The UI on the right, you can kind of see his palette, bottom right. See the palette for his ability that I'll show here in a minute, the kind of fancy ability. Top right, we have the mini map, and above that, we just have the Brushfire logo, which is only for the demo version. In the bottom, we have the beginning of the UI that we're showing off and the demo health bar. Here's the beginning of the conversation between the player. I don't know why I decided not to do that, but
I'm sorry, Blake. Can you increase the screen size?
that's as big as she gets.
Okay, perfect.
I'm on a 49-inch widescreen, and it's, So we have two modes. We switch between our painting mode and our movement mode. You can see this is in a brown, which corresponds with our selected paint. Down here, you can paint with your blue and your gray, which is your wood, water, and stone. If you're over here, we got the flashing lights kind of to show the player where they're supposed to be painting. And if you use wood here, it'll spawn the appropriate object for this section.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, Blake. This is, it's truly a beautiful game. Sam, Dargan, do you guys have any comments or questions or feedback for the game?
Yeah, super cool. I haven't seen a combat and painting.
Yeah, that was next after the bridge was. I can just explain it real quick. These refill your, if you've ever played God of War, these refill your paint.
You can spawn the player and like showcase the gameplay actually quickly.
Oh yeah.
He spawned it right here.
I think not since Picasso versus Brock have we seen such combat and painting combined.
Oh yeah.
I was curious though, how does the painting work in? Like, it seems like you have different palettes of natural sort of stuff to show. How did you all choose those, and what do each of them do?
So the brown one, which is wood, you can use it to either make a bridge, or if you use it to like extinguish fire, it just increases the amount of fire. And for water, it's used to like extinguish fire. And stone, we're still like making the mechanics for it, so it's like a future scope for now. And once you're like out of water is like a it's like a resource that is not in the environment, like it's a very limited resource. So you need to refill by clicking E, refill, and then go to extinguish fire again. It's like that. Yeah. And like as you can see, like those lumpy NPCs, you can use your combat system to like hit those NPCs. They can follow you around and attack you. If they're head bumping
Yeah,
you.
I'm stuck in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you think?
So I think it's a nice looking game, and I think you are clearly accomplished game developers. I'm a game design professor, and I teach game developers at Northeastern. So I'm going to put on that hat if I can, instead of my consultant hat.
Yeah, here's the fire.
And give you all, I think, the advice that I think you need. So it's hard to give like direct feedback on the game because more than 20 minutes into the presentation, like I'm still not quite sure how it's played. And I think what I want to focus on is preparedness and organization, because I don't think this was a very well prepared show and tell. Even though you've accomplished a lot in terms of development, especially with your team structure, other teams that accomplished a lot less had more successful show and tells. And that's because they were prepared, understood how the presentation software would work. Their environment was already ready. They had gameplay demos on video ready to show. Everybody knew like who would speak and when, what was going to be said was known ahead of time. The environment was ready. The personal notifications were turned off, so everything went smoothly. And a lot of times when you learn game development skills, like hard skills are the focus. But if you want to be successful as a game developer, like mastering those soft skills and being a professional communicator is equally important. So I hope that a lesson learned coming away from this is how to be prepared and ready to go and respectful of everybody's time, because you spent so much time working on this. I think it's a shame that we didn't get a good show and tell out of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I mean, objectively, it's a very beautiful game, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to showcase this. I am going to bring Parker back on since we are at the end of the stream. And yeah, let me bring Parker back on. And thank you to Weathered Edge Studio for showing your game to us. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We're at the end of the stream. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Darkin, for taking the time to watch these presentations and give feedback. It was really what a like diverse showcase we were able to see today.
Yeah, super cool. I wanted to thank some of the other organizers too. Tim Cullings from Seattle Indies, and Stephanie from Indiecade, of course, and Parker has done so much work behind the scenes, and MJ, of course, and all y'all for presenting. So many folks presented during the weeks of the jam. So, yeah, these folks included.
Yeah, I'm super impressed by the work of the teams. These games look fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
Since I'm just coming back, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Great. Sorry. To all of the presenting teams, and good luck on the final stretch of the jam. On behalf of Indiecade, thank you again to Jess, Sam, MJ, and Dargan. The teams for taking their time to join us today, all of our Climate Jam partners, and especially Global Game Jam for running the stream. I wanted to touch on the remaining dates once more. The final Climate Jam deadline is Tuesday, July 22nd, after which submitter and judge voting is going to start. And we also invite everyone to play the games. They'll all be on the main Climate Jam itch page, and the voting results will be announced in early August. Lastly, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, Indiecade is putting together some of the most inspiring and unique climate solutions games in a compilation project that will eventually be released. So stay tuned for news about that so you can wishlist when it's ready. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parker. And thank you to Indiecade for giving Global Game Jam the opportunity to showcase these as well. This was all really impressive work, and I think all of these teams should be really proud of what they've put into them. They're so incredibly thoughtful, colorful, really well designed, and clearly going through these feedback stages has been very impactful. So I think that that format is really working for everybody who's participating. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody who's watched this live and everybody who's watching this on demand. Yeah, that's the end of our stream. Head to Indiecade and globalgamejam.org. Is it Indiecade? It's Indiecade.com, correct? Just want to make sure that
Indiecade.com is our main website. And then the Climate Jam itch page has been shared in the comments.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll put that in the bio for this video as well. All right. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, morning, evening, night, wherever you all are. And take care.
Bye, everyone.